and welcome to Plot to Go, episode number 4. I'm Jack.
I'm Owen.
And today we are talking about A Complete Unknown here. And then we have some mini reviews of TV shows and a trailer reaction to get to at the end of the episode. Before we dive into the reviews, I want to bring up something. If you listened to last episode, or if you've seen our socials, we had this conversation about Lex Luthor.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
BBS. And we were making jokes at how bad it is and stuff.
Yeah, it's completely different from how Lex Luthor is usually shown or portrayed, and people really did not like it, yeah.
Yeah. I saw a tweet that kind of made me change my whole opinion on him.
Okay.
So they were like, Lex Luthor is used as a reflection of the evil person at the time. It reflects culture and society.
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be that.
But it was just a bit too early because evil loser tech bro is really the people in charge right now.
It was then too, but I think society didn't necessarily have their finger on the pulse at that point. Whereas now Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are very in the know. Like people know who these people are and have a lot of opinions on them. So it's totally different now.
Ahead of its time. So now I'm thinking, do I need to rewatch?
I don't think that's what's going to make that film more enjoyable.
Not suddenly. Imagine it as Elon Musk is suddenly going to make it better.
Yeah.
I just thought that. I saw that tweet. I was like, I have to bring this up. But yeah, let's just dive into A Complete Unknown then. Okay,
so Complete Unknown came out on Friday past for us?
Yes, a week on Friday from when you're watching or listening to this.
And I have not seen it. I wasn't able to go see it, but you have.
I have indeed.
So, Jack, in general, does not love biopics.
I don't.
They're a real hard pill to swallow for you. And generally, they're not all that well made to begin with.
Yeah.
So, it has to be well made to start with, and then you're going to decide on how you feel about it.
Yeah, I think it's quite a common opinion to have among the film community that musical biopics are just rinse and repeat now, and they have been for a while. I think since Bohemian Rhapsody kind of got as much Oscar buzz or awards in general, people have kind of soured on it because it's since that point, studios have been we can just make these and it'll get a lead actor nomination and suddenly then that'll draw people into the cinema and stuff. So
they're very much one of the kind of machines that Hollywood has going at the moment. The same with the live action Disney movies that we talked about not long ago. It's just one of those things. I mean superhero movies are in there too. Just having kind of formula that works and makes money and just kind of putting them out there.
But it's not to say that there's I don't like to diminish the entire genre because we spoke about last week, Maria. I think Pablo Larraín's doing great stuff with biopics. But in general, these studio heavy pushed with lead actor. I don't even want to say that there's not a voice behind it because this is directed by James Mangold, who is not an auteur, but he's a highly acclaimed director as well. There was a lot of talented people that went into this, but I don't know, it's just a hard sell for me. If you don't know what A Complete Unknown is, it is a Bob Dylan biopic. It skirts around what normal biopics are like, so it's not his entire life. They take 5 years of his life, and it is the period of when he transitioned from folk to electronic music.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was New York at this time was trying to build up folk music as a thing. Ed Norton's character who's in it, Pete Seeger. To preface, I know absolutely nothing about the people in this.
Oh,
Bob
I
Dylan.
know nothing, and I haven't seen the film, so you're just gonna be throwing names at me.
Great. Pete Seeger was trying to revive folk music in America, and he was quite successful. He set up a festival. I can't remember where it is. I don't think it's Woodstock. Somewhere. It was a folk festival that Bob then performed at when he was a folk musician.
So this put him on the map?
Yeah, folk music put Bob Dylan on the map. Again, this is according to the movie. not life, I guess, because I don't know enough about him.
Sure.
Yeah, he became quite famous for folk music and then became very disinterested in that and started doing something different. But he was such a like big person for folk people that he was still invited to these events. And the kind of climax of the movie is they want him to play folk music, but he has fully transitioned into this electronic artist. So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna be a good boy and perform the folk music, or like be a bad boy and perform with a band? I don't know. If you can kind of tell from my tone of this movie's fine.
I saw your rating.
Yeah,
so I already know kind of.
I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. It's just middle of the road. I mean, if this was on a streamer and you like Bob Dylan, go ahead and watch this. I also don't know with biopics, when somebody really likes the person that it's about, whether or not it's an accurate portrayal of that person. So maybe like massive Bob fans will not enjoy this because it's not entirely accurate. I really don't know. But I was excited for this. I think this thing that annoyed me about it, I was excited because it was condensing the biopic to this period of 5 years.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't gonna do the rehashed beats of like he's down on his luck and then he really rises, then he goes down again, and the same sort of like trajectory that all those movies follow.
Would you say that it's unavoidable because that is kind of how people's lives work?
No, because there's more to it. You don't have to follow the exact same like rise to fame, drugs,
sure.
and then not that this happens.
It could
movie.
all be shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
or it could all be great.
Yeah.
But it just it followed those same beats, and I was just a little bit. I was just fed up watching it. It actually, the music's brilliant, but it essentially becomes a concert movie. There's I don't know, upwards of 20 songs in this movie.
Isn't that Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah.
Yeah. The same thing.
Yeah. And you watch it because it's a biopic and you feel like you're going to get stuff about Bob Dylan. When the 2-hour 20, I think, runtime becomes half or more than half songs, even if the performances are great and you're like enjoying what you're listening to, that's half the time away that you could be like unpacking characters and understanding who he is. This film has no interest in exploring Bob, though. I think it's intentional. It has to be intentional. And I walked away feeling a little bit better about that. Like, once you've seen the entire thing, you kind of get the sense that Bob was this contrarian and didn't like to follow the rules and stuff, and he was all about the music and like really like blasé, like it was just about the music, and that's great. I enjoy that somebody out there is like that, but when you're doing a biopic about a person and you're not learning anything about them, and also they have like no emotional responses to anything, it's really difficult to connect.
This is just like a Spock guy that just cares about music. There's nothing else going on there.
Kind of, but I've seen reviews because I've kind of read up a little bit about it after, and he spends this period of time with Elle Fanning, who plays a woman named Sylvie, who he dates, and people say like some of the songs that he wrote are like the most gorgeous love songs ever written, and you hear some in the movie and they're really gorgeous, but there's like no chemistry between the person that he's supposedly in love with, and maybe you could write that off as like, oh, he expresses love through the music. I feel like you still need a sense of like chemistry between the two of them.
Do you mean chemistry in the film, or like in real life supposedly there was like
no
chemistry?
In the film,
right?
I'm assuming in real life there is, considering he wrote these great love songs.
Sure, but it also could have still been one-sided at that point.
That's entirely possible. Because it's filled with so many songs, it rushes through a lot of his life as well. So he meets Elle Fanning, Sylvie, in a church. Like, he does a performance at a church and he meets her there, and they spend like kind of like a day together, and the next time you see them, they've moved in together. Like, their relationship is a relationship because they've shown you it's a relationship. And it really fucking sucks because Sylvie has some really nice, like, tender, soft, slow moments in the movie that are like the dramatic weight. The dramatic weight of this film is placed on everybody bar Bob because he's not emotionally responsive. And I wish in a better film or in a film where you understood the relationship more, you would connect these moments more. But you just don't as much because I wasn't invested in their relationship. Speaking of other characters that kind of hold it together emotionally, Monica Barbaro, she plays Joan Baez. I, again, didn't know who this person was. She steals the show. Like, she actually should be nominated, I think, for this. She's phenomenal. And I actually leave being like, why don't we get a biopic about her?
Right, okay.
She plays this woman who Bob has like an on and off affair with, I guess. They're romantically entangled in complicated ways. And she's the only person that feels like rough and real. Like, she is an opposition to Bob where nobody else really is. So like his girlfriend Sylvie there's no like dramatic tension between them. Edward Norton, even though there is this setup of, you know, folk versus electronic, Edward Norton plays such a nice guy that they're never really conflicting. The conflict happens through Joan Baez, and it's just great. It's so fun to watch. There's a moment in the movie where they're singing, can't remember the name of the song, really good song, but it's a duet between the pair of them. Or sorry, they want to sing that song. The crowd wants them to sing that song. They've went on a tour together, and they expect them to sing their big song. So she sets it up and she's like, "Get ready, we're gonna sing it." And he just grabs the mic and he's like, "No, we're not. No, no, I don't perform to set lists. You've been lied to by the man over there," like I'm his manager. And they're on stage, like fighting over like going to sing this song. Great scene. And then he fucks off and she sings it. Yeah, I walked away being like, she was interesting. That's not to diminish Timothée Chalamet.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How does this rank as a Little Tim performance?
Little Timmy Tim.
Little Timmy Tim.
I honestly, I don't think he gives bad performances ever.
Sure.
And there clearly was a lot of effort put into this role. I think it just suffers from the fact that you can't connect him emotionally, like I was saying. Also, I don't know if you know what Bob Dylan sounds like.
No, but I heard your impression just there, so...
That was a bad impression. Mumblecore the man.
Okay.
Like, he mumbles through everything. If you look on Letterboxd, a lot of the reviews are like, well, I understood about 5 words. Like, he really is a mumbler.
Right. So he's got the performance down then?
I assume so. I don't know what Bob Dylan sounds like. But it's a great... I think it's strange because you don't need to know who he is to enjoy his performance.
Sure.
Whether or not it's accurate, I can't tell. But like the performance that he gave for the person we were shown, great. Played him as emotionally distant, but still there was something beneath him. I just wish we got more of that something beneath him. He's incredibly impressive when he's singing, like, and performing. He's doing all the instruments live. The sound work in this movie is incredible. But yeah, there just wasn't a lot to latch onto with him. So again, I walked away being like, how is this the Timothée Chalamet performance that's getting like buzz for awards? It honestly feels like this is the big like November, December movie and he's a lead actor. So he's going for the Oscar for this. It's like you're preemptively told that before going into the movie to be like, yeah, that was a lead actor performance right there. Nominate him. I think he gives, not that this is bad. I really enjoy his performance in this, but I think he gives a far and away better performance than Dune.
Right.
Far more complicated, far more nuanced. Again, nothing really stupid with his performance. It's more, well, the writing being there to elevate his performance.
Does the best with what he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It falls into the conventional trappings that biopics do, and that sucked, but it also doesn't. And the stuff that it decides not to do, like traditional biopics, as in the let's make him an emotional like white sheet, wet wipe, white sheet. Yeah, well,
you described it well.
Thank you. You just lack a connection to the movie. I feel like it just becomes a bit not bad though.
But would you recommend it?
I don't know. I don't know who I would recommend this to.
Sure.
Because, like, if you enjoy Bob's music, if you really enjoy Bob's music, I don't know if you want to sit for half of the runtime listening to Timothée Chalamet sing Bob's music.
Mm-hmm.
Would you not just rather listen to his music? Like, you can do that. And I kind of want to spoil this. It's not really a spoiler. Do you know how biopics end with, like, here's where they are now?
Yeah.
So...
Oh, normally it's like black and white. There's an image and writing under it.
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie ends. All the different characters are like, blah, blah, blah is doing this. Blah, blah, blah is doing this. And it's like, Bob Dylan has released over 50 albums and blah, blah, blah. It gives you all these stats. He's the only songwriter to have been awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. Whoa, incredible fact. And then it comes up with the last line, for which he did not attend the ceremony. And then everything fades to black and that stays on screen. As if she should be like, oh, he's so cool.
Yeah, mic drop.
Wow. I don't know what the film wanted you to take away. And especially with that like ending line.
Mm.
I was like, we've learned that he's just like not fussed.
Sorry, the last line on screen is, and he did not attend the ceremony.
Yes, that's the last line.
Epic.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Fun movie if you want to watch a biopic, if this is your thing, I guess. It's shot lovely.
The thing is, also when you're recommending films, like you have to think about like what else is in the cinema at that point in time. And like if someone's going to prioritize one film in a week, what is the film they should go see? Probably not this one.
Well, we were talking about there's January, especially if you're in the UK, is an insane month for movies. And if you are pressed for time or only want to go see a few, I wouldn't go see this.
Yeah.
Good streaming movie, which is, I feel like that's such an insult, but like, there's
bad
streaming movies.
It's the new, like, it's a good plane movie.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing.
I wouldn't watch this on a plane. It's like a level higher.
Right. It's a bit bougier.
It's a first class seat.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah, that was a complete unknown. Moving on to...
a worse film.
Spoilers.
We also saw Here.
Here, yeah.
Which is a Robert Zemeckis film who you'll know for films like Back to the Future. Also Forrest Gump. Mm-hmm. The Polar Express.
Mm-hmm. And many, many others.
Yeah, which probably do not have the notoriety of those films.
Off the top of my head, no. Castaway.
Oh, never mind. I just haven't seen Castaway.
Okay. Roger Rabbit as well.
Fair enough. So, Here is literally about one spot on planet Earth through millions of years.
Truly, yeah.
This film is kind of crazy. You mainly you follow the one family.
Yes.
In their living room, and the sort of like, I'd say, turmoil they go through, but it's relatively straightforward. Spliced in with a couple other sets of families or people that were in that same space at different points in time. Mm-hmm. But the film is kind of batshit crazy from the get-go.
Yeah.
You start off with that same spot that is a living room at some point in time, but it is literally a forest. Probably billions of years, dinosaurs, millions of years ago.
Millions, yeah.
My brain was like, did we see the Big Bang? Millions of years ago, we see a forest, and then literally an asteroid go overhead, hit the ground, blow up, fire spilling from the skies, dinosaurs dying. Suddenly you're even further forward in time. You're watching, I think, Native Americans in that spot, some deer, crawling about, etc. Then suddenly there's like people putting up a house, and then eventually you fast forward and you see this living room get built and the house around it, and then I guess you start with Paul Bettany's character.
Yeah, for clarification, when you say one spot, you are literally in, like, the camera does not move.
Yeah, the camera angle stays the same.
Like, you are it's like you're standing still watching millions of years of history go by and you can't move. And the way that it transitions between these different periods of time, because it's not linear. You do start in the dinosaurs and then you come back to like the 50s and then you go all over the place.
Yeah.
Is that they take these little like picture frames, like say you see a living room and there's like a lamp, it'll like hover over the lamp with like another square, and that will be the lamp in a different period of time.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a collage.
Yeah, and then it'll expand out into a different...
Yeah.
It's very experimental.
Can I just say that part of the film was like the highlight of it for me?
The concept.
The concept, but the way that it was executed with those little tiles, I thought was really interesting.
It was an interesting way to edit, yeah.
The film itself, not good, heads up. But the way that's utilized is quite interesting. There's a point where I think Tom Hanks's character's sitting at the window, kind of just like pondering life, maybe painting, I'm not really sure. And what happens is you kind of get a cut out of him, and then the living room fades away, and you're also at a point in time where there isn't a house there, it's just a forest, but you can see the moon in the night sky, and it actually gives you the sort of the vibe of night. You can feel
mm-hmm.
you can feel that environment and that atmosphere even more so than if it had just been him sitting at the window.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best time that it was used, because other points it was a little bit messy.
Yeah, the thing that lets this movie down is its screenplay. It's just horrible.
Yeah.
Because you are jumping around, I can't give a concrete number on the amount of timelines that you go to, but there's like your one main one and then maybe like 4 or 5 ones around that. And because you are jumping so much and there's only a limited runtime and they're trying to get across the stories of each of these places, all the dialogue just becomes expository. Like, well, this is what I'm doing today. What about you?
I think even if it hadn't been all of those timelines, it still would have been like that as well, which is unfortunate. But I guess that's... If you're going to force yourself into that medium of having a camera stuck in a corner, if you don't put the effort in to not do that, it's just going to become that. I feel like if there was smarter writers involved, then it wouldn't have been that.
But yeah, I think it's sometimes a struggle when you have a movie that jumps around periods of time following the same people, is that it becomes expository. I mean, this does, even within just the main family, because it's like, we're going to jump a few years forward in time. Yeah. How can we catch you up? Somebody's going to enter the room and go, I lost my job, or like, I got pregnant. A car, or yeah. All of those like cliched things. It's like, what happens in people's lives? Okay, let someone enter a room and just announce it.
There's a wedding. There's a funeral.
There's a birthday. There is a wedding in the house. Yeah. There's multiple birthdays. There's COVID.
There's Christmases.
This movie's bad. Mm-hmm. There are parts that dip into like atrocious, how the fuck was this made?
Yeah.
And part of that is you cut to a storyline in our future, or like roughly the same amount of...
Our past, Jack.
Sorry, our past. The like 2020 period. And as an example of like screenwriting, you cut to this family. There's a African-American family that owns this house, and they have like a cleaner. And you cut back to this period of time, and the cleaner is there, and she's cleaning about. I think she's like singing or something. Mm-hmm. She has a mask on, and then she goes to sniff a vase full of flowers and goes, and then stares like at the camera. I can't smell. And then it cuts away. That's all you get, and you're meant to be like, oh, COVID.
It plays
everything feels like that.
A weird like post-credit scene to the film, even though it's not a post-credit scene. It's like it's really strange.
Yeah. There's periods of time as well that just feel offensive that I just won't get into.
Sure.
But actually, like, why was this written like this?
Yeah.
Normally that involves people that are not the white family that you follow. Strangely enough.
It's also interesting how it felt like they were trying to make that one spot incredibly important.
Oh my god.
So it was like artifacts found. There was famous people that lived, two famous people that either lived on the spot or nearby. There's a point where there is a family where the dad is a pilot, and they have a daughter, and I thought they were going to make the daughter Amelia Earhart, and they didn't, but I was shocked that they didn't. I thought it was just going to be this thing of like everyone in the home is important.
Mm-hmm.
At all points in time.
Mm-hmm. Sadly not. Some of them were just super unimportant. We said after we watched the movie, it really pissed me off where that camera was, because you find out in the movie where the camera's positioned, and it's positioned in the corner of a room.
Mm-hmm.
It would be absolutely fine if things just happened in the room as normal life does, but they make an effort into like pulling people into this corner. So one of the smarter things is Paul Bettany has a cabinet right beside the corner where all his drink is.
So where he can have his Shakespearean monologues to himself.
Yep. And take a whiskey because it's been a hard day.
Yeah.
But then other instances just don't make sense. Like Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, who play the main two people in this, they're like dancing, and you're right up close to their faces. Mm. And people would not be dancing like that in the corner of a room. It was just taking me out of the movie. Yeah. But as you mentioned, the reason they do that is because they want to be like, look at our CGI. Yeah. They're de-aging people. Wow. The CGI is never impressive in this movie.
No. It's not horrendous.
On the people, sure. There's environments that look dreadful. Sure.
I mean, yeah, there's what are you talking about, like the start of the film?
The start of the film, the forest, the English period, where it's like a dirt road.
Yeah, not great. The best of the three that you've just described, though.
Sure. Anything that's not home is bad.
There's also the point where they're doing the CGI of the home getting built. That's when the home looks at its very worst.
Oh, do you want to get into performances? Because I don't think there was a good performance in this movie.
Yeah.
I think Robin Wright did okay with what she was working with. She has like
by far the best performance.
Yeah. She's given a few emotional moments.
No, I'd say she did pretty good.
Paul Bettany's dreadful.
Yeah, like Paul Bettany, you're kind of like what happened? Especially because the performance he's able to give with like Vision in the MCU means that we're like, when you get given a real human being, what happens?
Yeah, so we kind of follow him the same period of time as those first few episodes of WandaVision.
Yeah.
And if you've seen that show, Paul Bettany plays an android who's like faking being human. Mm-hmm. And he plays that more human-like than the man in the 50s in this movie. It's awful.
He's wacky.
Yeah. You mentioned this. It's like it should have been a play. Like it feels like a play.
Oh, the film actually, yeah, it would work very well as a play.
Define very.
I'd say that like I could picture the living room as literally like you have a massive circle on stage that rotates, and you can divide the space up into 4, so you could have the 4 different time periods.
Like Euphoria season 2.
Is that something that happened? I don't remember Euphoria season 2 that well.
Like the budget for that school play where they have the big revolving.
Fantastic. Well, I'm on the same wavelength as the High School.
Or High School Musical 3.
I've not seen that film in ages either.
Look at me, my references.
And we need to fix that.
Yeah, truly. There's a whole revolving. They walk through different. Anyway,
like I do think this is something that would work as a play, but when it's a film and you're watching, like people coming up to a camera in a film really pulls you out of it. In a play, it works within the
sure,
context of like in a play you have people shouting they're behind you and all that. Well, I guess that's panto, but you get the point. Like it's a little bit more like suspend your disbelief as opposed to a film.
I want to watch Romeo and Juliet where some guy's like, he's behind you.
The poison is behind you.
Yeah, I guess the point I was going to make about that is that the performances feel theatrical in that sense. Whereas you could see the performances kind of work maybe in a theater, but on screen, like you were saying, you get so close to them, it just doesn't work. Really.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Tom Hanks is just meh.
Yeah, because I think part of the problem is you're watching them young as well, and the de-aging, I would say, isn't good. There was points as well where, like, we saw this with our friend Samuel. Samuel made the point, like, their mouths don't match up. Like, you can see the CGI-ness of their mouths.
Yeah, I think I might have me that said that, because I was sort of defending the CGI. I didn't think it looked that bad for the de-aging, but the mouths were noticeable.
Right, yeah.
Because I could remember, like, the first time that you see Tom Hanks, or one of the first time they have him walk up to the camera, one of the many times that happens in the film, to speak to, like, his dad, and yeah, you see his lips like not move the way that they should because they are CGI lips. It's kind of the like Superman no mustache effect. It's really odd.
Exactly. Great pull. Yeah. Well, that was Here. An ugly ass movie.
Yeah. Would
you recommend it?
Oh no. I will say that I did kind of enjoy it. Like I walked out being like, I'm happy I went to see that.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I would like to recommend it because as conceptually something that's like pushing cinema forward, cool. But it's just better in your brain than I think in execution. Like the concept's far better than its execution.
Yeah.
So we've yet to speak about TV on the podcast. I think. Yeah, Yep.
We've never deep dived into anything. I don't know if we've glossed over things.
Oh, maybe.
But nothing that I can recall. I mentioned Doctor Who a couple of times.
Of course. Well, we thought we'd do a little catch-up of some stuff that we've been watching, because a few TV shows have ended, and that's probably what we'll be doing moving forward. Like, if something premieres, we might touch upon the first episode, but we'll probably save things until the end.
Yeah.
So we have a few things. Do you want to start off with Marvel's What If?
Right.
So Marvel's What If? Every single time Jeffrey Wright does that.
Oh, he's got a
great
voice.
Great voice. That was a bad impression as well.
It's better than what I could have done.
Go for it.
Not even going to try. So, What If people aren't familiar at this point, is essentially a TV show, a cartoon, an animation, I should say. Cartoon, I feel like belittles it.
Maybe it should be belittled.
That Marvel put out on Disney Plus, which runs through each episode is normally a different universe, where if an action or an event had been slightly different, you kind of see the butterfly effect that action takes on that universe. So one of the most notable ones from the first season is a universe where for some reason Steve Rogers doesn't get to go into the super soldier machine, and instead it's Peggy Carter, and she actually becomes like a main character throughout the 3 seasons of the show. Season 3, I think, might be the worst season of the show.
I agree.
I think you have the episode list up in front of you.
I do.
I don't actually know if I can say there's a single episode on that list that I like.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
That is kind of why. So I went and looked at my like past ratings for context. I have not loved this show all the way through.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has.
It has such a kind of like Here. It is such a great concept, and it does start off that way in season 1, where you had these small changes, and it's cool to see how drastic the storyline can get. That gets completely lost, or gets slightly lost in season 2. It's completely lost by season 3, where they're just like, what if this happened? I don't know how we get here, but what if it happened?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. that's one of the most interesting concepts of parts of that concept of the show was them describing the change.
Yep.
Like narrating the change right at the beginning.
And you have Jeffrey Wright's voice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see how it spins off. But straight away, the first episode of this one is just, for some reason, Bruce Banner did this. Suddenly there's like bad Hulks everywhere. Everyone's dead.
Like, genuinely.
Like, it's terrible.
Yeah. And it because the previous seasons, they are condensing what would be movies down into episodes, and 20-minute episodes at that. At least you had the prior knowledge to what happened in the MCU to give you context to fill in stuff. Here they are literally just condensing ideas into 20 minutes, and it's just a bombardment of action. And see the MCU humor that gets like made fun of?
Yeah.
That's this show. Like, through and through. I think the MCU catches some slack for that shit that it doesn't really need. I think it's blown out of proportion. This show is not. It's like, it truly is those somebody's behind you.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like the show gets away with that a little bit because it is an animation, so you can kind of do the slightly ridiculous stuff. It just never hits. I don't think it ever lands.
Yeah.
In a way that it's probably trying to. So that's the unfortunate part about that.
Mm-hmm. It's a wasted concept as well. Like, I've seen so many, I'm sure you have as well, so many people's ideas online.
I haven't actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I've seen tons that feel obvious. Like, oh, why didn't you do this with this concept and the MCU? And like, you have so much lore around it, and you're deciding to, what if Hulk fought the Mech Avengers?
Yeah, like, what is that? The last episode's called What If?
I'm so excited.
Excited for it to be meta.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's just like a straightforward episode that's uninterested.
You would say part of the problem is the interconnectedness of this, yeah?
Yeah, which is also one of its strengths.
It's very bizarre. The first season starts off, I guess every season starts off, with these disconnected stories, like you were saying.
It's the most disconnected, the first season.
Yes. One thing changes, and then you get this universe, and that's it, done with. Each season ends, though, with them coming together. Like, in the first season, there's characters that you get for like 6 episodes, and then the Watcher brings them all together. Similar sort of thing happens in the second season, but season 3 not only does that, but then it also connects season 1 and season 2. So it's like, you can't just watch random episodes, you have to have watched all 3 to understand this. And to me, the last 2 episodes of this season are the best.
Oh, of the season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it's the interconnected stuff, and I actually think the storyline throughout the 3 is okay. It's just not, I think, what the show should have been.
Yeah.
The stakes in this as well just get absurdly ridiculous.
Because it just gets bigger and bigger. Like, there's nothing... It's really difficult to do anything beyond...
Infinity Thanos?
Infinity Ultron.
First season.
Which is the first season. So what they do is they just bring them back again in season 3. Because how do you go bigger? They just do a thing where they can't successfully do something, and they're like, oh, we need Infinity Ultron because he's the strongest.
I think that was a cool inclusion, though.
I don't know if it was. It's
really?
one of those... It's actually kind of cliched. It was interesting seeing that character at that point in time, but they do the thing of like, oh, this being by itself for so long has managed to think his way into being a better person by himself. That happens all the time in film and TV shows.
Maybe because it's real, Owen. Maybe if you were left for millions of years by yourself, you'd develop empathy.
Yeah, maybe I would. But here we are. We don't get. We're not getting that.
I also just want to bring up, because why not? One of the episodes was, if you've seen the Thor movies or WandaVision, the character Darcy Lewis, comedic relief in those movies, and Howard the Duck from Guardians of the Galaxy, briefly. What if they had a baby? What if a human being and a duck had a baby? And also, that baby was the source of, like, every villain in the MCU wanted the baby for the powers that the baby had, and by the end of the season, the baby doesn't really have that much powers.
Is it luck? Is that her thing?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually confused at what she was.
She flies? She's a bird crossed with a human being. Bestiality is in this show, and they just go, yeah.
Marvel loves the furries.
That's it.
They were pandering to the furries.
Pandering. None of this woke nonsense.
None of this woke nonsense in the MCU, for God's sake.
Good God. It's actually just upsetting me talking about this. Do you have anything more to say?
But what if season 3? No. Actually, don't bother with the show. I don't think it's going to have any impact on anything anywhere.
Well, it has. We've seen the impact it's had.
What is the impact? Captain
Carter in Multiverse of Madness was meant to be like a... But then it's not the same character.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it is separate. Because I was going to say that's the one character that people are going to miss out on, is that version of Peggy Carter.
Who, I think we're in agreement, is good.
Yeah, the highlight of the show.
People seem to just not like that she was like... She becomes insanely overpowered in this. But like, I like her as a character. I
was thinking watching that last episode, I was like, how is she doing? Yeah. She's running around. They were fighting like a big squid thing, similar to like the Guardians 2 opening.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, how is this woman with this shield doing this? I mean, it was the same. It was the same shtick as when Captain America was doing it too. I do remember just being like, this man's fighting Thanos.
Yeah.
A suspension of disbelief, I guess.
Fun.
Anyway,
moving on to another universe, a different universe. Whoa, the DCU. The DCU has started, guys. Did you know that?
With an animation.
With a fizzle. I feel like, honestly, Superman is the start of DCU for 90% of the population.
Yeah.
Maybe because most of the population also can't watch this show. But James Gunn's Creature Commandos is the start of the new DCU. It is an animated property following a ragtag team of monsters. It is a continuation of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So you kind of find out in this, there are some DCEU properties that are going to get carried over. As far as I can tell, it's just everything James Gunn did. Like The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. But it follows up from the end of The Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller is no longer allowed to use Task Force X, the Suicide Squad, but she finds a loophole because it says that she's not allowed to use humans. So she decides to go and get herself a group of monsters, and
it's so mean, by the way, because actually, when you look at all of these people, they're not monsters. They actually are humans, most of them.
Yes.
I think at some point they mentioned that one of them's a corpse, but that is a human corpse.
Yeah.
The fish girl, I can't remember her name. Nina. Nina is literally a human.
Yeah.
But it's just they've gone with the definition of monsters because they're
conventionally not looking like a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but kind of a fun workaround, I guess. So you follow a team of people. You follow the Bride, which is the Bride of Frankenstein, Dr. Phosphorus, Flame Man, basically, G.I. Robot, a robot that hates Nazis, Nina, she's a fish girl, Weasel, if you've seen the Suicide Squad, it is that Weasel, he's a humanoid weasel, and then Rick Flag Sr., who is Rick Flag Jr.'s father. That hair, though.
The hair and the beard combo.
Hair and the beard combo. Silver Fox over here.
Yeah.
What did you think of Creature Commandos on?
I actually really enjoyed it. And I don't know if that's the general consensus on this show. Like, I feel like I can see people not loving it. It's kind of straightforward, and I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, and he was like, is it not a bit cringy?
Oh.
And I was like, what do you mean? And then he mentioned the fact that there is a scene where Dr. Phosphorus just is like giving the bird to like the army or whatever that's coming towards him, and a tank just drives through him and he burns it, but with both middle fingers up.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I can kind of see how that's like kind of like Rick and Morty-esque, if that makes sense. But no, I really enjoyed the show. I loved the flashbacks for all the characters, which I remember you describing. I can't remember if you said you enjoyed the current day timeline more.
Do you want me to reveal?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I didn't love the flashbacks.
So
however, when I spoke to you, I was only about halfway through.
Okay. Because I was like the complete opposite, where the current day stuff wasn't all that interesting.
So, if you've not seen it, each episode kind of follows a format where you get a flashback to one of the people on the team, and then you cut to this present day story where they are trying to defend a princess of some Eastern European made up country, because every universe has to have one of them.
DC has a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because obviously I watched Young Justice not that long ago, and there was a country in that, and I can't remember what the country was called.
I was just listening to a podcast where they mentioned this.
Yeah. DC has a lot of those. So does Marvel, actually.
Yeah, Sokovia.
And also Latveria.
Yeah.
So.
Nerds. Yeah, there's a storyline where they are just trying to defend a princess from a threat. That's as vague as it kind of gets. They don't know why they're going there, just to defend her. Yeah, I wasn't in love with the structure of flashback into present day, just because I prefer the team dynamics more, and I didn't like how it was cut, like interspliced throughout the episode. I felt like it was, oh, here's the backstory to explain why they are the way they are in the present day, and it just felt a bit like clunky to me.
I never had a problem with that once.
This is a James Gunn property, and this feels like a James Gunn property. If you like his humor, if you like his zaniness, like it's him. I had a little bit of an issue with the way he was writing some people, specifically women in this. Every woman is like sexually abused or like violently abused in this show as a means to like get them where they are. Like the humor, in my opinion, tiptoed into that like I'm alternative, like do you know,
this
like,
is where the cringy comes from.
Yes, yeah. Because there's a scene where like Rick Flag Sr., he's gonna fuck the princess, and then you cut to the outside, they're having sex, and like the squad are like outside the door, and like the guards are like, let us in, we need to see the princess, and they're like, give him 5 minutes, then he'll be done, and it's like haha giggle, and then there's like more noise of the pair of them, and then it's, oh, he's an old man, maybe give him 10. Like, sure, that's funny, but like when a lot of the jokes are like that, especially in the start, I was just a bit like, oh. So I didn't love that. That's maybe a lot of that happens in the flashback stuff as well. I feel like the bride being the creation of this man, and the man Frankenstein in this is after the bride. Yes. That's his storyline. Yeah. And it is clear that he's like a stalker and like a bad person. Yeah. But I think that gets clearer as it goes on. At the start, it's murkier.
Do you think? I thought it was pretty obvious, especially from the start, that he's just like this antagonist.
Really?
I think as you go on, they try to like make him more interesting or something, like, because they have the whole dynamic with him and Rick Flag Sr. in the back half of the season.
Yeah. I don't know. There was just little bits. I just felt that in the writing. If that
his writing isn't as strong in this as it has been for other things.
I will say though, kind of contradicting myself, the best character in my opinion in this is the bride.
Oh yeah,
she
performance as well.
Oh, her performance is great. Yeah. What is her name? She's the woman from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, she is.
Indira Varma.
Yeah, my brain goes to Idina Menzel.
Adele Dazeem.
No,
she's phenomenal.
She's the best character. My personal favorite is G.I. Robot because it is just ridiculous.
It's so stupid. Yeah,
it's so stupid.
As a funny bit, yeah. As a like character to latch onto.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, the more the show goes on, it becomes her show.
Yeah, they put
smart.
her front and center
Yes.
in an intelligent way.
Because she's simply the most captivating out of all of them. I think that's where my slight issue... I enjoyed this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Just, there was like some little bits with the jokes towards the beginning, but like as it went on, I really did enjoy this. I think the structure of like having these backstories, and how do I say this without spoiling? He's unafraid to let go of some characters. Like there is real genuine risk for a lot of them,
which is the same in both Suicide Squad movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
even more so in this, I think, because you can actually get a little bit attached to some people before,
because it's a TV show, you have more time and you get to focus on each character.
Yes. However,
happen.
I think there's a like major problem in the ordering of the flashbacks, because I feel like there should be a gut punch in this that isn't that damaging, because they don't build it up enough.
Interesting.
I think you are more so told. I'm going around in circles trying not to say the thing. Yeah. I think you're more so told there's a relationship that's being built between two characters, so you should get invested in it. And you're told that, and you're not really shown that enough. And then something happens towards the end, and you're meant to feel bad that that's happened, but also bad for the other character.
I don't know if you're told that. I think you are shown it not enough. I think they do build towards it. It's just that I actually think the number of episodes and the runtime of the episodes are affect it more.
So there's 7 episodes and they are about 20 minutes a piece.
Yeah, it's so quick.
It's really quick. You know what I'm getting at though.
I absolutely know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, just wish there was more of that, because I think then that would land better at the end.
Do you think the things that have happened can be undone?
No.
Right.
No.
Because given the sort of universe that we're working in,
comic booky,
yeah, you can kind of undo what you've already done.
I don't think so with that. They retcon something at the end, which is cool, that leads into a season 2, but I kind of saw that one coming. Yeah, I enjoyed it. As a start to the DCU, opinions?
It's not strong. But I kind of wonder if that's just like tactical, of like, oh, we're just going to meander into it, as opposed to trying to put so much pressure on a first project. Also, saying that, I don't think that it's planned that way. I think it's the fact that I'd seen something about James Gunn had written this prior to, like, he wrote this, I think maybe in COVID. It was just something that he was interested in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I think he wanted to get it made within the DCEU.
You could see this being a movie.
Yeah, you could also see it just being, like, I could imagine him just doing it
for the DCEU. Yeah, sure. Yeah, because this could, we've not seen the DCU yet, but this could easily exist in the DCEU.
Yeah. Oh, actually, let's talk about...
yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that some things are sticking around from the DCEU. Personally, I didn't like that beforehand, but now I kind of get it, because when you're dealing with parallel universes, there are events that are the same anyway.
Yes. So
for them to just kind of refer back to things that happened already, I do think is fine, as long as we're not getting like flashbacks to those things. The only problem that I think arises from that is they're making a Peacemaker season 2. What are people supposed to think in years' time, where if they want to come around to watching Peacemaker seasons 1 and 2?
He's addressed it. He's like, everything is canon, bar that ending. The ending's not. Yeah. It's a messy way to start a universe.
Yeah.
I do wonder though that this can be its own pocket of stuff for the people that understand it. Like, you could keep Peacemaker and this show, because they've confirmed a season 2 and all of that wherever, and then Superman, all this other stuff exists.
It's Gods and Monsters, so there's got to be crossover.
Thinking, yeah.
So
I do hope we see these people though. I want the Bride
Oh,
Please.
I absolutely. Yeah, I want all the people. I'm assuming they've tried to cast so that they can have those people play those characters.
I think the models are based off Rick Flag Senior, Frank Grillo, Crossbones in Civil War.
Oh, cool.
And obviously the bride. Yeah, I can see her playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Her. Yeah, fun. A fun show.
I would recommend as well because it's 7 episodes and 20 minutes long.
Yeah, an easy watch.
Yeah.
I think just because I've enjoyed his project so much, I think he's done like, I think this is the weakest superhero project he's made.
Oh, 100%.
Still great, but I think I just wanted a bit more, I guess.
Yeah, there was nothing to really dig your teeth into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's my biggest criticism of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely. So I've just finished the latest Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew. No
spoilers, please.
No spoilers at all. It just ended like a few days ago anyway. It's perfectly fine. Yay. See, when I was looking at my like rankings of shows though, I'm specifically talking about live action and, you know, the stuff Disney Plus has made. It's probably like number 2 though. And I was like, wow, that's indicative of everything else that they've made. I told you, I think, when I was maybe 3 or 4 episodes in, I'm really liking it.
Yeah, I think that was the vibe I was getting, yeah.
It starts off, if you don't know what the show is, it is a ragtag team of kids, a la Stranger Things, go on this like magical Star Wars adventure. Conceptually, it's kind of cool. Their planet, they live on this planet that is like a surveillance kind of home world. So like everybody goes, I'm trying to like draw on another media.
Is Jude Law not in this?
Yes.
Is he one of the kids?
De-aging really works well in Star Wars.
Way better in this than it wasn't here.
They live in a place basically where like they're controlled by the government.
Oh,
so
surveillance state, is that what you're looking for?
Surveillance state, thank you.
Cool.
They don't know the rest of the galaxy like exists really. They only are told what they should know, so like by stories and stuff. And one of the kids like dreams of like getting out into space, and he stumbles upon a spaceship, and him and 3 other kids end up on this spaceship, and it takes off, and they leave the planet, and they end up meeting Jude Law, who's this space pirate, and they head on this like magical adventure.
Is this
with
the
him.
Goonies in space?
It's the Goonies, it's Stranger Things, it's anything with like kids and pirates and adventure. It's that. And the start of this, I was so into it because it is that. They found a really nice blend. It's made by John Watts and Christopher Ford, I think his name is. John Watts made the Spider-Man trilogy, which I really like. I know some people don't. And also the directing teams that are on the show is nuts. The one that stands out to me the most are Daniels, who made Everything Everywhere All at Once. They direct an episode, I think, of this.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Is it a good episode?
It's not my fave. Yeah.
Is it within one of the first 4?
Maybe episode 4 or 5.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I think John Watts directs some. There's some other people as well. It just is it's just one of these things you could stick on and not pay too much attention to. It's part of. People are complaining that everything's interconnected, and like nothing's of consequence. And this is very inconsequential. It's his own thing, and I think that works. And it also doesn't. There just need to be a bit more stakes. It didn't even need to be tied to anything. It just is a bit like blah towards the end, or not even towards the end, because I actually really enjoyed the last episode. But in the middle, it kind of repeats itself,
right?
And it just is looking for adventures to give these kids. I don't know. The performances from the kids are great, and the lore building, like this surveillance state world, and the more you find out about that is really interesting. But they don't do much. There's no like depth to it or anything. And I actually think that The Acolyte was a better attempt at a show than this. The Acolyte is not as good as this. Nowhere near.
Is this the concept versus execution thing all over again?
Kind of. I was talking a lot about that today.
Yeah.
But that, I'm like, The Acolyte I wish was getting a second season because it's doing something new, like brand new, something interesting. Maybe it faltered in the way it was executed and stuff, but at least they had a vision for it. This very much was like Goonies, Stranger Things, all that in space. Fun.
Is this getting a season 2?
But like, I don't know. It just ends. It's it's very strange. Like do you know movies don't really do this now, but like Transformers.
Oh, Transformers 3.
Yes.
Which we just watched. We love. We love Transformers 3.
Transformers Dark of the Moon just ends. Like a lot of movies of old just end.
Yeah. This was my reaction when Transformers 3 ended.
Yeah. That was my reaction when this ended. Huh? I don't even know if I'd like a season 2.
Fair enough.
I like the kids like dynamic, and that was fun. But I don't know.
I mean, things don't need to be drawn out for
seasons
and seasons. Like, if it was good enough and it wrapped up, then that's it.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's that there's so much. I hate using the word content, but content out there that like a show that's fine in a universe that has so much shit to watch. It's hard to like say, oh yeah, you really should watch this. Andor, yeah, you should watch that. We have a friend who saw 3 Star Wars movies and Andor because everybody was saying Andor was great.
Yeah.
This is, if you're already watching the Star Wars universe, watch it. If not, if you like that 80s kind of kid adventure movies, yeah. But other than that, yeah.
Can I just say what a successful episode where we've essentially recommended one of the 5 things we've spoken about?
Well, should we just add something? Watch The Traitors.
Oh yeah, watch The Traitors. The Traitors is great.
Well, that'll be right. We'll be talking about that next week.
Yeah, because that will actually be done.
That probably will be spoiler filled as well.
We could do like a spoiler filled extra bit of a podcast after it. So,
okay.
And just upload that separately, and that'll save a lot of tragedy for people. Or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll maybe we'll just spoil it. But maybe we're the traitors. Maybe we'll tell them we're not going to do that. And then it'll just be spoiler.
Yeah, I really loved this episode. Linda, she was fired or banished.
Fired. Linda, you're fired.
Alan Sugar pops in.
I'm sorry, you don't need to be a sailor to know how to tie a rope.
Sorry. Oh my god, who the hell is not going to come back?
I knew it.
It's the best. Jesus. I knew it. Icon. If you aren't watching it because you don't like reality TV, you are missing out on a British icon in the making.
Oh, truly. Made. Yeah.
Still be making. I think she's just going to rise.
Sure.
Cast her in your next... in the DCU.
Oh, God. Who's she playing? Catwoman.
Yep. Joining a long history of Catwoman. This is Linda. Okay, we just watched the Daredevil Born Again trailer.
Uh-huh.
We're going to give you our thoughts, and if you've not seen it, go watch it, come back to this. We're big fans of the show.
Well, big fans of the show prior.
The show prior.
Which was just Daredevil. That ran on Netflix for like 5 years. Not 5 years.
Probably
4?
I don't know.
2015 to 2019?
It was, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Big fans of that show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's quite a consensus as well of like, wow, Marvel television, like that's the peak of Marvel television, and Disney Plus has never came close to that.
Would you say that as a massive WandaVision fan?
I wouldn't say that. That's a general opinion. Yeah. The law. What did you think of the trailer, Owen?
I liked it. I don't think there's anything going on there to get me like super, super excited for this show. I'm already excited enough for it. I think it's going to be good.
I think good but worse than the original.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that they're going to try and capture lightning in a bottle and not quite achieve it. They've got in the trailer, they've got all of the markers of what made the last show. Like all of the characters.
Okay.
Do you not think the same thing?
The thing that stood out to me there is it doesn't look the same.
Oh, it doesn't look as nice.
And that to me is like a big reason that show was as good as it was. The cinematography in that original show is gorgeous. The lighting, because he's blind, like his apartment and stuff, the way that was lit is gorgeous. That has the same like polish? Filter, yeah, exactly, as like most of the other Disney Plus shows.
Do you think you can get that from a trailer?
I want to be optimistic and say no, because a large majority of that trailer was them two sitting in a diner that was not well lit.
Also, I was going to say, on that point, I think there's a possibility that because Kingpin is mayor in this season, there's going to be a lot more shown during the day. And that might be why it's lit like that. There's a lot of just like daylight in that trailer, as opposed to a lot of the kind of like creeping around at night that was going on in the last show.
I would have liked a little bit of where the story is going to go. I feel like you're right. They were like, here's all the characters that you know. We're continuing it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think they were like, we have all the things that we had in the last show. It's going to be great.
Because they shot a large majority of it, or a good chunk, that didn't feature Foggy and Karen. And then they went through rewrites and were like, oh, we actually should continue the show.
Yeah.
So,
they shot, I don't think it was a majority, but it was quite a lot. And then they took a step back and they were like, this is not working. This is not how we want it to be. I think they were going to go for more like campy, jokey vibe with Daredevil. Yeah.
Really?
Because apparently he is a bit like that in the comics or whatever. And I mean, if you saw She-Hulk, he's not the same character in She-Hulk.
I disagree.
I agree with myself.
Okay. I just think I think they capture him, but they place him in a comedy. They place him in he's just a lawyer at that point, and then when he's Daredevil, he's flirting. You don't see him really as like.
I don't think he is him, but you've watched the show twice, I think.
Okay, don't call me.
And I've only seen it at one time, so I don't remember him feeling as though he was the same character.
Definitely not, but I because different tones. But I don't know, worked for me.
Sure,
I guess. Yeah, I thought I would have a lot more to say about that trailer than I do.
Yeah, there's not a lot in it.
Yeah, it very much is like you're in safe hands, but I don't know if you are.
Yeah, we don't know that. Yeah.
I'm just glad to see that it's continuing the story, but I am going to now view this as Daredevil.
Yeah, and it's going to get held up against
Yep, of course it is.
Proper spotlight on this show now, so they're going to have to buy. I was going to say they're going to have to make sure they put the work in.
It's releasing at an interesting time as well, because we've spoke about like they're going to do a reset. Like Fantastic Four feels like this reset for them, where they're like putting more care into projects. It's releasing smack bang in the middle of like their two I don't want to say bads because we don't know they're bad, but Captain America and the Thunderbolts, which
I mean, this one isn't a reset, to be fair. It's a continuation of something that they already have.
I just mean like them production wise, Fantastic Four felt like this fresh reset where they started putting more attention in, and I don't know if Daredevil was part of that. Like, let's be more care, like let's put more love into this. I assume so because of
I think it
Charlie
is.
Cox.
Also, TV shows get kind of like pumped out faster anyway, don't they?
It depends now. Some shows no.
But this one did only finish shooting like not that late, like mid last year or something.
Because it was an 18 episode season that was then split into two 9 episode seasons.
Oh, is that what's happening now? Okay.
So it's just 9 episodes. Yeah, I'm excited, but it actually has not changed my excitement at all.
That's exactly what you kind of would hope from it, I think.
Yeah, I had no opinions on it really.
It doesn't look bad.
Doesn't look bad. Doesn't look amazing.
No, but it's a trailer of a show that is mostly talking.
Oh, yeah.
How much are you gonna...
Yeah, I've never been like, oh, the Daredevil trailers really sold me. And yeah.
Oh my god, we have a question. I wonder who it's from. What's your favourite genre?
I haven't had time to prep this. What is my... Do you know what? I'm going to be so boring. Drama. Because it encompasses so much. Okay, actually, maybe comedy.
Oh, I see that for you.
I love a good comedy. Actually, I'm going to change my answer again. Dramedy. There's like specifically like shows and movies that are a perfect blend of the two.
That's I don't know about that one, Chief.
That's my answer to the question. So
your answer to your question?
Not my question. What about you?
I think mine's a sci-fi, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
Dramify. Because drama and sci-fi can be perfectly merged together.
Okay, and that's the end of the episode.
I just want to give further explanation to mine, which is that even I will enjoy bad things. So if there is a really interesting concept that is badly executed, I will still enjoy it. And sci-fi encompasses a bloody lot of that. So...
Yeah, I don't really think about that. Like, a bad comedy's bad. A bad dramedy, though... Still bad. Lovely. Yeah, thanks so much for watching this episode.
Thank you.
You can follow us in many places.
Are we just... Is that what we're doing? We're just skipping over the platforms?
Well, Instagram, TikTok,
Spotify, YouTube.
That's it.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Follow on Spotify and rate on Spotify.
Yeah.
That'd be lovely.
Share our stuff on TikTok and Instagram.
Lovely. Next week, what are we talking about? Off the top of my head, it's The Brutalist. Mm-hmm. The epically long movie that we are going to venture to watch. It has an intermission. One of the only movies that I can think of in recent times that has done that.
How long is the movie?
Like nearly 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I was like, better not fall asleep next week.
That's why we're this week. We want to watch it right after you finish work.
And probably the traitors as well.
Oh.
I actually as well will touch upon Mufasa and Nickel Boys because I'll get to see Nickel Boys.
Right.
So there'll be a whole bunch.
Next week's episode sounds much better, guys. I'd go listen to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, we spoke about 5 things. One thing was good.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.